Hey, it's Daryl again. I'm just going to have another think about this Auckland Light Rail thing. This project's kind of been bugging me because I kind of think it has a kind of air of not in my backyard. I think I get this kind of feeling that sometimes the people that want these things the most are the people that are least likely to ever use it. Do you get that feeling? I kind of wonder. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. I kind of wonder, if the people that are kind of really promoting it the most, the reason why they want it tunnelled. So we're looking at building it down to Mt Roskill. It's basically Dominion Road or Sandringham Road. By the location of Weasley and Kingsland, this looks like Sandringham Road. I stayed at a friend's place in Sandringham Road a long time ago, 20 or 25 years ago, and I thought, wow, this is a posh neighbourhood. People are pretty rich around here. There's a stadium. There's a big rugby stadium up here, and I keep forgetting the name of it. It doesn't matter. People who know rugby stadiums, they know there's a big rugby stadium up there. These are just suburban areas. Weasley is a weird area. I've never been to Weasley. I've driven past it. I've never gotten out of the car there. I don't know what there really is there. It's got a supermarket and stuff. It seems like... I think it's the leftover bit of land when they were building the expressway, the Waterview Tunnel. State Highway 20 runs up here, and then it goes into the Waterview Tunnel. The Waterview Tunnel strikes me as the same thing. We want a tunnel because we just don't want a motorway going through our neighbourhood. We want tunnelled metro. We want a tunnelled light rail because we just don't want to see the light rail. Us up here, we like to drive our cars. We don't want no light rail getting in our way. That's a weird feeling I get about this project. So it's really expensive. It's $14 billion for 30 kilometres of track or something. I have a major problem with that. If we build it on the surface, if we build it on roads, if we build it in the reserve along motorways, if we build it up on poles as an automated tramway, all of that would be cheaper. I've got a couple of ideas. I was just thinking of prefabricated. In Kapiti, where I live, they build a concrete yard and they built the prefabricated segments of all the bridges on the Kapiti Expressway, and they built the prefabricated segments of the Transmission Gully bridges, the Otaki Expressway. They built a giant new bridge over the Otaki River and the Waikanae River as well. They built these big bridges. They did it in prefabricated. Honestly, it almost seemed like the bridges were the fastest part of the project. They seem to be not there, and then you come back a year later, big giant bridges, all there. And the reason why it's so fast is they prefabricated a lot of the parts. So here's a prefabricated railway bridge up above a motorway. This is something that I think we could use. This is a prefabricated bridge building machine. You build the concrete columns in place, or you build the foundations, then drop the columns on, and then you put the guideway up on top. Now, the reason why I'm saying a guideway is for a light metro or a tramway up on top of a bridge, you want walls on the sides of the bridge. Back to that diagram. We'll look at that diagram again. There's little walls. See, there's these 1.5 metre size walls or metre high walls on the side. And what this does is it contains the noise from the wheels. It's very important that the wheels are enclosed when you're building a railway up on a bridge, because these walls help absorb a lot of the sound of the running noise of the bridge. If you're going to be going past a populated neighbourhood, you're definitely going to do that. Another problem is privacy. You can have automatic frosting windows that when you go past neighbourhoods where people have their backyards or their houses or apartment buildings, you can automatically frost the windows. That's just an option. That's a tick box when you're ordering the train. Make sure you order that. That's something they use in Singapore and other high-density populated areas. That could be just an option. Here's a prefabricated bridge builder building a prefabricated bridge. Okay, the reason why I'm showing this is because I'm going to give you an alternative to the proposal. My alternative is more functional and probably cheaper. I think it might cost the same amount, but you'll get 3 times or 2 times as much tramway for your money. It'll be a lot more functional, and I'll explain all of that using some maps. Here's the AT Journey Planner. The AT Journey Planner says that the trip from middle of Auckland, Britomart, down to Puhunui Station is going to take 46 minutes. Okay, 46 minutes, then 10 minutes across here on the Airport Express bus, and that's 55 minutes. It's an hour. You can take an express bus from the city that goes through the Waterview Tunnel, down this motorway, down to the airport. 25 minutes if there's no traffic. But if there's traffic, maybe it will take 50 minutes. Okay. This is the population density of central Auckland. The area where this tramway is meant to serve is from here. This is where the harbour is. Auckland Harbour Bridge goes across here. Queen Street to the Minion Road is down through here. Mangare Bridge is here, Mangare, and then down to the airport. Airport over to Manukau. Over on the eastern side of Manukau is another population area. The population actually goes across that part there. And then also up to Botany Town Centre. Botany Town Centre has a lot of apartment buildings in it. There's arguments for better railway connections around this loop because that's where people live. These empty places, that's where factories are. People don't live in the factories. So there's these empty spots, and this empty spot here, industrial areas where people might work but they don't live. So sometimes you need a metro network that connects the populated areas to the places where people work. That makes sense. People are commuting to work. Okay, how do we do that currently? We use buses and trains. The dotted lines are the existing train network. The thick lines on this map are the buses that people use a lot. These are the buses that come often. The bus line that's used the most in Auckland is the Dominion Road bus line, not the Sandringham Road bus line, the Dominion Road bus line. The Mount Eden or Three Kings bus line, that's used quite a bit too. So if you're going to build your tunnelled metro, you would build it under Dominion Road, slightly biased towards the Three Kings Mount Eden side. But that would be expensive to build. That's right, $14 billion. So you don't do that. What you want is a surface tramway instead. What else? Here we have Mangare Bridge and Mangare, and then across to, what's that station there that is called Papatoetoe, and then across to Otara, and then I think Sylvia Park's up here. This brown line is another very highly used bus route because it goes from Botany Town Centre through the population area over to Mangare. And then down here is the airport. So airport line, there's some airport bus lines, not highly used, but there's this new service from Puhunui. I don't think it's on this map. There's this Air Express that goes across here from the station. That means that you can take the train down to there and go across. So you have to take into consideration all of that when you're trying to work out what to do. I've got a different idea. I've got a different idea of what to do. Here's a map of Auckland with the metro lines, the existing railway in purple, and my new ideas, my new lines that I would add in pink. Okay, I'll just show you a thing about the central city. There is a central city loop being built. It's not, I don't know, they call it loop. Some people call it loop. It's not a loop. There are no trains that go around and around the loop. There are no trains that come into the city, go most of the way around the loop and go back out. Okay, there's a east to west train, which west to east, that that comes along this line here, and it just bypasses the skirting. It skirts the southern edge of the CBD, and then it goes back down there. That line goes from Henderson to Onehanga. There's trains that go Henderson to Onehanga. That's one route that's done. There's another route which goes from Swanson all the way out west, and it goes into the middle of the city, and it goes down and terminates at Mt Station. Other trains start at Mt Station, so there's trains that start at Mt Station and go through the underground stations, and then they just go down south. I think they go all the way. They might go normally to Papakura, and sometimes they'll go to Puhunui. Like Puhunui's like that's getting onto regional rail right out of town. There's other lines which go from Britomart Station and just go out here to the east, and then go down to Manukau. So they're rejigging how these routes go. And you need to know this. You need to know where the buses go, and you need to know where the trains go, so that you can create a new thing, and the new thing will be the most useful thing. So now I'm going to turn back on the map that I made. I've added this network of pink lines. This is my own idea, and it's based on the tunnelled light rail project, but it's not going to be in a tunnel. We're not doing it in a tunnel because tunnel must make no sense in the middles of cities because it lacks flexibility. The point of a light rail is that it can stop fairly often to pick people up and minimize the distances that people walk. On a light rail, people are going to walk a little bit more than they would for buses between bus stops, but a little bit less generally than taking a regular train. But we're going to hybridize this thing, and I'll explain this whole thing now. I'll just point out that it's in stages. So I've got the Dominion Road line, which goes from the ferry terminal in the bottom of Auckland to Dominion Road. And then I've got the bit that follows the motorway, Dominion Road to Onehanga. And then I've got the bit that goes Onehanga down to the airport, and the bit that goes from airport across to Manukau. And then I have an extension part which would build maybe later on or at the same time, some loops that goes around to Botany town centre. What's important about this is it takes in big population areas around East Auckland, because East Auckland's not currently served by rail, East Tamaki. So let's look at it stage by stage. So the purple lines are the existing rail lines, but we'll build a surface tram. The surface tram will go through the middle of the CBD. You can see that this is CBD where all the high-rise buildings are, is this sort of yellow area. It will have one or two stops up Queen Street, and then it gets to near Aotea Square, where you can either transfer between Britomart and the tramway, or between Aotea Square and the tramway. It then goes up to the universities on Simon Street, Wellesley Street East. It goes past the Albert Park, goes past places. This tramway would be a good ride if you're a tourist. It goes to the airport, so that kind of makes sense. Goes past the universities. It goes from there up into Newton, Simon Street, Newton, and then it goes on to Dominion Road. So then it's a straight line run all the way through Dominion Road. Now you have stops about 600 metres apart, perhaps. A little bit further than bus stops, twice as far as bus stops, half as far as normal train stops on that segment. This segment is on the ground. It's a normal modern tram. Does everybody know what a modern tram looks like? Okay, I'm calling it modern tram because they call it light rail, but people don't know what light rail is. There you go, modern city tram. It's a surface-based running tram. There's lots of different kinds of them. You can have them on a lawn because the rail trams. This is what we're talking about. This is what they want to build in a tunnel. These things are designed to run on city streets. There you go. So we have this. It runs through the middle of the city down to here, and that's a single project. Just that segment there that I'm highlighting. That's a single project. You could just build that. Okay. Next part of the project. The next part is along a motorway. So instead of having it on ground level, we actually have it on poles in the middle of the motorway. That's why I was looking at prefabricated viaducts at the start of the video. So this stuff. You're going to build this down the middle of a motorway. That's something that people know how to do. There's special machines for it. You buy the machines, you prefabricate the parts. It doesn't take very long to build. I was in Dubai when they were building the modern metro in Dubai, and they were putting on 3 or 4 spans between poles per day when they were building it. We can build it at half the speed and 10 times more safely. So we're building this. This is along this motorway. So that's the southern motorway. You've got the Waterview Tunnel here, but it's above ground along Motorway 20. We have a stop. We have a stop for Wesley, and then we have interchange at Dominion Road where the ground level tram, and you could have it so that there's a bridge that goes from ground level onto the bridge. On an extension, you also build the southern part down there. Do that later. You build the piece that goes just down the middle of the motorway, and then at Onehanga, it peels off and goes into the middle of Onehanga because it goes to Onehanga train station so that the system connects to the other trains. That means that people can take longer journeys by connecting one ride to the other ride. You have a big station, interconnect station at the station there, and then you build the piece that goes across the bridge. It goes across to Mangare Bridge. In Mangare Bridge, I'm having a station here. I'm putting a station here because you've got an industrial area on this side of the road and you have a residential area on this side of the road, and that gives Mangare Bridge a much better interconnection to the network. Come down here past Favona, and then you get down here. This area here is Mangare Town Centre, and that's a main area. So you have a station for there, and you can transfer and walk, or you can transfer and go onto a bus. Then we go down through the airport industrial area. There's a park and ride here. It says Auckland Airport Park and Ride. There's a giant car park in here, and I think that makes sense to have a station there. You can take the tram from the park and ride to the airport, or the airport to the park and ride. A lot of rental car companies have rental car pickups and drop-offs at the park and ride, so it makes sense that people can just get on the tram and go to the airport terminals. This is all going to be on poles above the ground through here. All this above ground bit can be automated. It can run very often using small trams and have a terminal on the track. It's between, you've got the international terminal here and the domestic terminal there. You can see the airport runway here. We're right in the middle of the airport. And then you have an extension. This is something that's not in the tunnel tramway project. This thing is going to cost less than the tunnel tramway project. So we're going to have money to save. And with that money that you save, you can build this extra bit here, which goes over to Clover Park. It goes through Puhunui Station, and it goes through Manukau Station. And that means that the people can commute from this area over here and go and work at the airport. People that are at the airport can go across and go to the Rainbow's End Amusement Park, which is just to the side of the station there. People who work in Central Manukau can transfer onto the system. And then once you've built all that and you've got it going, you finish off the loop. You build the rest of this loop. So it's just straight up through here. You got the industrial areas and some residential areas, and that's why you have to be careful about how you build the style of the bridges, the viaducts. They have to be very pretty, and they have to have noise controls so that you're not making it too noisy. It would be good for the trams to have automatic frosting windows so that people can have privacy. If you have a bit where the trams go across residential areas, you frost the windows so that people can have privacy. That's a good idea. You order the tick box on the trains when you order them. And then that's Botany's town centre, where there's a lot of apartments and people live, but also it crosses across to Papakura shops, and then over here to Sylvia Park, where it connects with the line that runs to Sylvia Park, and then it goes across to Papatoetoe, where it connects with the line at Papatoetoe. So that means that this network feeds on and off the other train network. This span, which runs across this way, replaces a bus line that spans the city in that direction. This replaces the bus line that goes up and down. So the point is to exchange buses for tracked transportation that carries more people more often. There we go. That's the explanation. The tunnel is so expensive that you could build all of this for approximately the same amount of money. It would probably carry twice as many people per day. If you build a fully automated loop on this part here, the fully automated loop can roughly run 24 hours a day, which means that people who work on shift work at the airport and things like that can get a ride. If you build the whole loop, it allows people who arrive at the airport, when you arrive at the airport, there might be faster ways to get into the city. Mostly you're going to go to the Puhunui station and transfer there. There might be people that want to go out west, and so it would be smarter for them to go up and change at Onehanga and get on a train that goes from Onehanga, skirts the city, and goes out west. People who live in Mount Eden can take the tramway all the way straight down to the airport. You have to have the system interlinked so that you can have as many different kinds of cross-linking journeys. All the tickets are going to be on AT hop cards, so that if you take a complicated route which requires 1 or 2 transfers, you get a kind of like a discount on your connection. You don't want to be paying extra because you want to take the mainline train and then go one stop to the airport. Yeah, you'll pay a tiny bit extra because you're going a little bit further, but you don't want to pay for a whole new ticket because you're transferred onto a different style of conveyance. There we go. That's my further thoughts on this idea. I'm really thrashing this idea out because it just really bugs me about how crazy it is. If you build the automated types of trains, you can have street running automated trains. They're in operation in Germany right now. This line is basically very straight and very main. You remove all of the car parks off this road so that the road is very wide and broad. You get rid of all the car parks. If you want some car parks through the middle of Dominion Road, which you might because there's a lot of shopping areas down Dominion Road, you just buy some houses behind those shopping areas, tear them down and build some car parks. And you'll be like, well, that will cost a lot. Don't houses down Dominion Road cost $2 million? Yes, they do, but it's a $14 billion project. So if you have to buy 20 houses and tear them down, you're going to be spending $40 million out of $14 billion. That's nothing. That's rounding error change on the price of the project. If you want to build something to go across to the North Shore, you can build your tunnel across to the North Shore later. Okay. That's it. That's my idea. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.